Right now on Hoosier News Source, an IU law professor raises questions about the hiring process for President Whitten. And we hear from Bloomington's Middleway House as people use their resources due to the rise of local sexual assault cases.
And I have our IU football forecast as well as some start of some cooler temperatures. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Caroline Geib. An article stirring up campus revealed how the university really hired Pamela Whitten as IU's president. IU law professor Steve Sanders wrote a piece claiming the process to elect President Whitten violated Indiana law and did not give enough say to stakeholders. Sanders said the IU Board of Trustees rejected 4 candidates chosen by a search committee. He claims the board agreed to pay former President McRobbie over $500,000 to stay for an additional 6 months if they couldn't find a replacement. After the board chose Whitten, they still paid McRobbie $582,000. So what made Sanders open his investigation?
It was more a matter of talking to people that I've known for a long time who are around the university and who know things and are part of decision-making processes, who suggested to me that there were some irregularities, some oddness about the search.
Sanders says this violates open meeting law since it was not publicly discussed. The Middleway House is stepping up to help victims of sexual assault as cases rise in Bloomington. The organization works to support survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. They provide services like legal advocacy, emergency shelter, and aid at their Rape Crisis Center to students and Bloomington community members. Middleway House says they're seeing an increase in the demand for their services since the start of COVID-19. Their combined services reached over 4,900 people in 2020. The Middleway House Crisis Intervention Services coordinator Carrie Stillion says that the recent attention to sexual violence in Bloomington is encouraging others to seek help.
Are having people still reaching out and having more conversations, I think, about what has happened to them and processing through, things that maybe someone may not have initially identified as sexual assaults.
To find additional Middleway House resources, visit their website at middlewayhouse.org. Caroline Clare now joins us with the forecast for this upcoming week. Caroline?
Thanks, Caroline. IU football takes on Ohio State this Saturday evening. Going ahead at 5 p.m., maybe heading out to the game, getting here when the gates open around 5:30. 63 cloudy. It's going to start cooling off rather quickly as we go through the evening. 7:30 game time, 55. The sun will be setting here and the moon will be coming out. If you are at home, you can be checking out the game on ABC. And 10 p.m. around when the game's about to wrap up or end, as you're heading out the door or heading back home, nice cool 51. So make sure to bring a light coat or a jacket with you to the game, but no rain chances and just light winds. So it should be a nice, beautiful night for an IU football game. Rain returns this Sunday and Monday after having quite a dry week we have ahead of us here. So I have just a low up here in Minnesota to our northwest. We can see just some heavier precip amounts down here in our region here. But guys, this isn't going to be a whole lot, but some moisture that we will be seeing over the week and going early into next week. Guys, we're only going to see about an inch, 1.2, maybe like absolutely max 1.4 inches here. And this is going to be Sunday going into Monday. So not a whole lot, but some moisture that we can be seeing as we start next week. Now let's take a look at what we can expect for the rest of the week. And like I have previously mentioned, a rather dry week. Seeing some warmer temperatures return. We have the 70s here on Wednesday, but going back down into the 60s, going maybe even reaching the 40s. And as we go into our overnight temperatures and then going over the weekend, a beautiful day on Saturday. Great for our football game, but returning rain chances, as I previously mentioned, and maybe even some warmer temperatures getting back into the low 70s. Don't forget to cheer on the Hoosiers this weekend and have a great week. Caroline, back to you.
Thanks, Caroline. Coming up on Hoosier News Source, a look into the thinly stretched mental health resources on campus and the new bike lane that could make you running late. Welcome back to Hoosier News Source. H&S reporter Jack Lindner joins us in studio to give us an update on this week's international news. Jack?
Thanks, Caroline. We begin today in Haiti, where 17 people, including Americans and Canadians, were kidnapped this past Saturday. The Ohio group traveled to multiple villages throughout Haiti, visiting orphanages and performing missionary work. According to officials, the group went north of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, where a group of gang members abducted them. During the kidnapping, one of the American missionaries posted a call for help on a WhatsApp group message. The kidnappers have issued a $17 million ransom in exchange for the hostages. The FBI and U.S. State Department are currently investigating and searching for the group's location. And over in Asia, North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles late last night. Officials say that the launch occurred just off the country's eastern coast. The missile launch comes after numerous countries, including the U.S., have attempted to reach peace with North Korea. Japanese officials described the launch as a, quote, threat to peace, while Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is planning an appropriate response. And finally, 75 years later, an ex-Nazi camp secretary is hearing her charges. The 96-year-old woman served as a secretary at the Stutthof concentration camp in Germany. Her charges include more than 11,000 counts of accessory to murder. Irmgard Furchner tried to miss her hearing previously. Since Furchner was under the age of 21 when she worked at the camp, her trial is in juvenile court. That's all for now around the world. Caroline, back to you.
Thanks, Jack. IU celebrated Mental Health Awareness last week alongside the university's counseling and psychological services, but CAPS is also battling against underfunding.
Mental health has become a growing conversation in the past years, but there's always a need for more conversation surrounding it and its importance.
I think it's celebrated enough where people post about it and they recognize it, but I don't think enough people go above and beyond to make sure that mental health can be incorporated, awareness into everything we do.
With Mental Health Awareness Week, it is even more important that students know the resources available to them.
The Student Health Center is home to the counseling and psychological services provided here on campus. With the high demand of these services requested daily by students, some may consider CAPS to be underfunded.
Vice Provost Denise Hayes says that when you hear CAPS is underfunded, it means that people just wish there were more counselors available.
We do the best we can with what we have, and we don't complain, and we do our best to see all students that have a need. What happens is that we don't ever turn a student away.
One way CAPS works to ensure that they are providing assistance to as many students as possible is by hosting free drop-in group counseling options such as workshops and support groups. There are no limitations to how many of these sessions one can attend. For Hoosier News Source, I'm Bridget Taylor.
You can find the schedule for available sessions and workshops online, and to meet with a counselor one-on-one, call the CAPS office to schedule an appointment. Be sure to watch out next time you drive or walk down 7th Street. The city's addition of a 10-foot bike lane is causing traffic and possible accidents. Cars are already driving down the bike lane and the wrong side of the road. The new lane forces cars to pull over before the stop sign to make room for commercial vehicles like trucks and buses, causing heavy traffic. Even though IU celebrated homecoming last weekend, we did suffer a tough loss to Michigan State. Kara Adams is here with the latest on how the Hoosiers are playing. Kara?
Thanks, Caroline. It was yet another tough weekend for your Indiana football team. The Hoosiers fell to now 9th-ranked Michigan State 20-15. While the defense had a somewhat solid performance, Jack Tuttle and his offense were unable to really get anything going. Yet this weekend, the defense will need more than just a solid performance as they will take on the #1 ranked offense in the country, Ohio State. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. The Indiana men's soccer team had a dominant week, defeating both Ohio State and Penn State, moving them into the #1 spot in Big Ten rankings. The Hoosiers' next game is against Evansville on October 20th at home. The Indiana women's soccer team had a tough back-to-back road schedule this past week. They fell to Penn State 3-0 and then tied Maryland 0-0. They will look to get back on track in Big Ten play this Thursday when they will take on 9th-ranked Rutgers. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. at Bill Armstrong Stadium. That's all for Hoosier Athletics. Caroline, back to you.
Thanks, Kara. And thank you for watching this week's episode of Hoosier News Source. To learn more about this week's stories, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV News. I'm Caroline Geib. From Bloomington, Indiana, we'll see you next time.